Okay, so today we're talking about integer operations. It can kind of be tricky if you don't be careful. Okay, so what we got here, we're going to go over several different things, and I'll kind of go over those individually. Okay, so we're talking about adding the same sign as integers. Okay, so we've got positive 3 plus positive 4. If there's no sign in front of it, it is a positive. So we've all done that. So 3 plus 4, we know, is 7. Okay? Now, we're adding the same sign, okay? So this is a negative plus a negative, okay? So, same theory exists here. When you add two negatives, you're going to come up with a negative. Just like you added two positives here, you come up with a positive. You add two negatives, it's going to be a negative. Negative 7. Okay? Alright, now, subtracting the same signs, okay? You got a positive 4 minus a positive 4. So it's basically 4 minus 4, which we know if you have 4 and you take 4 away, 0. Okay? Now, a little different theory here when you've got minus and negative, okay? So it kind of goes back to order of operations. When you have two things side by side like this, it technically is a positive, okay? So it's negative 4 plus, because a negative times a negative is a positive, and we'll get into that a little later. So basically what you've got here ends up with negative 4 plus 4. So they cancel each other out basically, and you end up with 0. Okay? Alright, so there's adding, subtracting the same signs. Now we've got multiplying the same signs. Okay? So we've all done this. 4 times 2, we know that's 4 grips of 2. That's 8. Okay? Now, and I'll get into this a little later. I've got a little sheet at the back, talks about the rules, so it'll be concise. You can flip back and forth. Negative 4 times negative 2. You got a negative times a negative, which is a positive. That's also going to be 8. Okay? That's just one of the rules. All right, now you're dividing the same signs, okay? All right. Don't know why I didn't do this. Okay. We've all done this. 4 divided by 2. That's a group of 4 divided into groups of 2s. So that's 2. Okay. Now, contrasting that, negative 4 divided by negative 2. It's going to be the same theory as this, because you've got the same signs. You're dividing negative by negative. It's going to be a positive 2. Okay. And like I said, I will get into the groups of that. Alright, now, adding different signs, okay? This is where it gets a little tricky, okay? You can't just do what you would think you would normally do, okay? So, and there's no necessarily rule to this. You just kind of got, and we'll get into that, okay? Alright, 3 plus a negative 1. So basically you got multiplication here, a positive times a negative. So it's basically 3 minus 1. It's going to be 2. Okay. So what you can do, you can look at it. This is how I teach it, okay? You got opposite signs. Well, you subtract them, okay? End up with a 2 and take the sign of the larger, okay? The positive here, because there's no sign in it, so that's technically a positive 3 plus a negative 1. So the sign that's got the larger number, the bigger just the number itself, is the positive. So that's, go subtract the numbers, take the sign of the larger, which is positive 2. Okay? And if you need me to clarify that up, I can do another video and get into that just itself. Okay? Alright, now, subtracting different signs. Okay, so technically what you got here is negative 4 minus a positive 5. They're opposite signs, okay? Okay, so it's going to be the same theory as adding different signs, okay? You're going to subtract them, put the bigger, just the number itself on top. So the difference between just the two pure numbers is 1, and you take the sign of the larger, which is positive 1. Okay. I can go into detail on that if I need to on that also. Just let me know. Alright, now we go back into multiplying numbers with different signs. Okay. Opposite signs. Okay, a negative and a positive. A positive times a negative is a negative. So that's going to be negative 8. Okay. Dividing with different signs. It's a negative divided by a positive. It's also going to be a negative. It's negative 1. And like I said, I can get into those rules later if you need me to. Now, this is what we do in class, okay? Okay, so here are the rules. So I've laid them out here, okay? So we can see positive times positive, positive. Positive times negative is negative. Negative times negative is positive. Negative times positive is negative. Positive divided by positive is positive. Positive divided by negative is negative. Negative divided by negative is positive. Negative divided by positive is negative. So, you can learn all these 8 rules, or you can condense it down into 2 rules, like we always do in my class, okay? So, if it's the same sign, whether you're multiplying or dividing, it's always positive. Okay, look at that. Positive times positive, positive. Positive divided by positive is positive. Negative times negative is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive. Now, if it's opposite signs, dividing or multiplying, it's always negative, okay? So you can learn 8 rules, or basically 2 rules. If it's got the same signs, multiplying or dividing, it's positive. If you've got opposite signs, multiplying or dividing, it's negative. Okay? Now, on the addition and subtraction stuff, when you got opposite signs, you subtract and take the sign of the larger. That kind of condenses that down. So, I would study this right here, grouping, and no matter what kind of situation it is, multiplying or dividing, positive, negatives, doesn't matter which order. If it's the same signs, it's positive. If it's different signs, it's negative.